All right, let's do this. So, question for today is Trump says the Iran war is done and over. So, the question really is will the war be done in 2 weeks' time? Scotty for, Charles against. Opening arguments.
Yes, it will be. Absolutely. I just, you've got America that are just too powerful. Iran, they've got a lot of land, got a lot of people, but not in the places that matters. What you'll find is that we'll start seeing oil coming out of the strait in no time at all.
All right, opening arguments, Charles.
Well, that wasn't really an argument, but in fact, that could have been used as an argument for why Iran's going to win this. But I'll go a little bit further than that. Let's first of all look at USA's military objectives here. They want unconditional surrender. They want Iran to never have the capability to build another nuclear weapon, and they want Trump to be able to choose the next or have a say in the next leader of Iran. Look at the now. Let's look at Iran's threshold to win. They simply have to stay alive. And they need to keep that pressure on the Strait of Hormuz to outlast the number of days of oil reserves that the rest of the world has. How's it going so far? Well, let's look at the weapon stockpiles, all right? So one Iranian drone costs $20,000 roughly to build. Iran, we don't know how many they had, but before the war, there was estimated they had 2,500. Some estimates say they've used about 1,000 since then, but that's not the important number. The important number is how many they can build, and some analysts say up to 10,000 per month. Let's look at the defense systems that are being used by Israel and the Gulf countries. So the two primary defense systems are the Patriot missiles and the THAADs. I said before that one Iranian drone costs $20,000 to build. One THAAD costs $4 million to build, and the USA can make 8 per month. Israel's stockpiles were already very low following the 12-day war last year, and so it's only a matter of time before Israel runs out of these weapons, these defense systems as well. Now, granted, a lot of people have pointed out that the number of drone attacks coming from Iran has sharply decreased. The strategy that Iran's simply using is they use all their inexpensive missiles and drones first, let Israel and USA deplete all their weapons defense, and then Iran can come in with their bigger missiles afterwards. So if you look at the number of missiles that Iran's fired off, yes, it is decreasing. The actual number of direct hits is increasing. So, look, I don't see this going very well for the USA. I think I don't think Trump can simply just declare the war over because, as the Iranians have said, they're going to be the ones who decide when this war ends. And right now, they don't have any. They don't show any signs of wanting to end it anytime soon. They got the upper hand, and they know it.
Rebuttals.
I just think what you said, none of it makes sense. First of all, those Shiads are not being shot down by THAADs. They're flying at like 200 kilometers an hour. Fucking a guy with an AK-47 could shoot those Shiads down. The THAADs are used on ballistic missiles only. They don't have any ballistic missiles left, and if they do, they're not using them because they are afraid that then their inventory will be completely gone. Number two, Trump can, and unfortunately it is the way that America is, but Trump can call an end to a war if he wants to because they are so much more powerful than everyone else. Their technology is better. Their military power is better. If he wanted to do a full ground invasion, they would win. And so unfortunately for Iran, they either come to the party or ultimately they will lose.
All right. Rebuttals, Charles.
So if Israel's not using THAADs on these drones, then what are they using?
This is standard anti-air missiles.
How many of them do you think they have?
Thousands.
Thousands
And
okay.
thousands.
How many do you think they've
Thousands and
used?
thousands.
How many do you think they use for each one of Iran's drones?
Don't know. I don't know what the Iron Dome fires actually,
Okay.
but
Next
it would be
point.
small ones.
You say USA has greater technology. Yeah, and that's true. But that's not the deciding factor here. Is Iran has huge geographical advantage, and they don't need expensive technology to win. In fact, they've done heaps of damage to all the different military bases around the GCC, including blowing up like $1 billion radar system that was at one of the US's military bases. You know, USA has spent something like $6 billion in the first 24 hours or 48 hours of this war. They can't afford it. They got America's going to tap out before Iran taps out. And you can bomb them the smithereens. Iranians are ready for this. The will of the Iranians is strong. If anything, this is making them more united. And Trump's completely failed at this because they've now got an even more hardline leader who is actually the last supreme leader didn't want nuclear weapons. This new supreme leader is not against nuclear weapons. So in terms of the USA's military objectives, they're not going well for Trump at all. And again, the USA can send troops there, but that would be a huge escalation. It would be extremely unpopular. And I mean, let's just look. How did that go in Iraq? Okay, who's in charge? Or in Afghanistan? Who's in charge of Afghanistan now? Okay, it's not Americans. It's the Taliban, and that's a much smaller country. And that war lasted for the better part of 20 years. You think Iran's going to just roll over in a few days? No, I think you're delusional.
Closing arguments, gentlemen.
I feel like you're basing a lot of your argument on Iran being this massive country. Where the Strait of Hormuz is, because it's not a very long stretch. So all they need to do is just get that open. The rest of Iran can just do what they want. But as long as they just clear out what's essentially just blocking oil at the moment, that's all they need to do. I think they can do it without a ground invasion. I think they could do it with the Navy only and just have the Navy patrolling it and taking care of business.
Okay, you say that the Strait of Hormuz is a narrow stretch of water and that makes it easier for them to open up. I actually think it's the opposite. It actually concentrates the conflict in that one spot. It makes it much easier for the Iranians to control, or they don't even need to control. They just need a credible threat of controlling it for insurance companies to not want to go anywhere near it. If the USAV were able to escort boats through there, then why aren't they doing it now? That's I mean, it's the third point is it's not just oil that's being blocked. It's gas, it's fertilizer, it's helium, it's cosmetics. Coming out, going in is food. So basically all the food going into those GCC countries is imported through that strait. So the countries hosting these American bases are eventually gonna get pretty sick of having Americans there as well.
All right. Well done, gentlemen. That was an intense
Good job,
one.
Charles. That was a very intense
Well done,
one.
Charles.
Well done,
Very well
Scotty.
done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kez.
Scotty as well.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
debate.
Kez.
All right.
You're most welcome, Kez.
Okay.
I think the only thing I can say is that Charles's opening argument may have gone a touch over 1 minute.
Sorry, maybe do I lose by default then?
I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
Yeah. I mean, he was on such a good roll. I was like, fuck
I
the
didn't want to
rules.
stop it.
Well, your opening argument was a bit short, so I figured there was a bit of time that I could fill up there.
Yeah, that's very true. It was a short one.
All right, let's
what
do it. So opening statements. Scotty scored a clean 5 out of 10. Simple power imbalance point. Weaknesses vague. No specifics on timelines. Fact checked. US has degraded Iran's Navy missiles, but conflict ongoing. All right, so Charles, scoring an 8 out of 10 on the opening arguments. Logic 8, evidence 7, persuasion 8, evidence 7, some overstatements but fact check. Hits increasing per some analysts. US spent billions early, 6 billion first 48 hours. Mojtaba appointed despite Trump. Now, I wanted to see if it confirmed a few of the numbers about, the THAADs and the drones and stuff. It's saying drone numbers in production inflated. Reports 2,000 fired by March 5. Volumes now down 95%. No 10,000 per month confirmed. THAADs costs accurate, but not sole defense. Cheaper systems used to. Whether or not that's true, yeah. All right, rebuttals. Scotty scored better here because 7. And Charles 8.25. Closing arguments, Scott 6, Charles 9. Even higher. Narrow Hormuz favors Iran, easy to threaten. Blocks oil, gas, fertilizer, helium, cosmetics, GCC food imports hits. They'll tire of US bases. Host will pressure US out. So overall, Charles, well done. He builds a more compelling case for prolongation, US ambition versus Iran's survival tactics, economic leverage, past precedents. Intense round, props to tackling this. If the war evolves, Hormuz reopens or escalates, drop in for a rescore. Otherwise, well done, Charles.
Nice, Charles.
Thank you. I'm
Good
sorry
job,
I
bud.
had a pretty rough topic there,
It's all
Scott.
good.
I blame the
I
moderator.
don't mind. I don't mind. I don't think this war will be over in 2 weeks, in all honesty. Unless Trump does get boots on the ground, then there is no point to this whole operation. He needs to get boots on the ground. This is going to go on for years.
So you're saying